Welcome to Flutter Teacher. In this video, I will explain the card widget along with all its essential properties which allows to customize the card. And I will also talk about the different limitations that the card has. So without wasting time, let's get started. Card represents a panel with slightly rounded corners and an elevation shadow. Card is mostly used on the dashboard UIs to describe the primary focus or most essential information to user. Let's start from the basics. We have a scaffold that contains the body at the center. Inside the center, we have a card widget, and card has a property called child. Child basically requires the widget that has to be placed on the card. In this case, we have a text and that contains a text called Flutter Teacher with the font size of 30 pixels. And this is what the UI on my device. Let me tell you the first limitation of card. For the card, we cannot specify a padding, means there is no option or there is no property called padding in the card. So when we want a padding for the card, your entire child of card means the content of card has to be wrapped in the padding widget. So let me wrap this text inside the padding. So let's click on this yellow bulb and just click on the option called wrap with padding. And let me apply the padding of say 16 pixel here. And let me save it. Now you can see the UI is looking quite better. This particular UI is basically called a card. You can observe here, it contains the slightly rounded corner and there is a light shadow, which we actually called it as the elevation shadow. Let me tell you the second limitation of card. There are no constraint to specify size of card. Means for the card, we cannot specify width and height explicitly. Card automatically adjusts its size with the size of the child. However, to apply custom size for the card, we have to wrap the card inside another widget like the container or the size box. So in this case, let me wrap my card inside a container. So let's write here wrap with the container, and let me use say a width of say double dot infinity. So I will use here double dot infinity, and let me use some height. So I will use height say 30 pixel. I'm getting error because of this const. So let me remove this const from here. You can see now everything is fine. So let me save here, and now you can see this is the card with the width of infinity and it has got the height of 300 pixel. We can apply a margin for the card. For that purpose, card has given a property called margin. So let me use a margin property and let me use here agentsets.all, and I will specify the 32 pixel margin from all the sides of card. I can see card has got the 32 pixel margin from all the sides and now it's looking quite better. We can also change the color of card. For that purpose, card has given the option called color. So it requires the object of color. So let's write here colors dot say I will pass here yellow color, and you can see now my card appears in the yellow color. Card has the property called elevation that allows us to control the size of shadow. By default, the value of elevation is 1.0. It requires the value in form of double. So let me change the elevation value to 10. Now you can observe here the shadow is looking quite bigger. We can also change the color of shadow. For that purpose, the card has a property called shadow color. So let me use here say red color. So I can write here colors dot red. So the shadow will appear in the red color. I hope you can observe here there's a little red color for the shadow. We can also control the rounded corners of card. For that purpose, card has property called shape. So let me use here shape. Shape requires the object of shape border. So here I'm passing object in the form of a rounded rectangle border. So let's write here a rounded rectangle border. It requires property called border radius. And as we want border from all the sides, I'm passing here say border radius dot all. So let's use here border radius dot all. Inside this border radius dot all, we have to pass the radius. So I'm writing here in the form of radius dot circular because we want circular border, and here I'm passing value 20. By default, the rounded corners they are having the value of 4 pixel. Let me add comma and let me format my code well here. You can see now it's formatted well. So when I save here, you can observe now my corners are rounded with the 20 pixel value. So if I use 10 here, you can see the roundedness of corner has got decreased, and if I change it to 0, now there are no rounded corners for the card. By default, we get rounded corners from all the sides. It's also possible that we can control the side, means we can have the rounded nits for only in horizontal direction or vertical direction, or we can have the corner for specific side only. Let's say if we want for specific side, so here we can write here instead of border radius dot all, we can write here only, and inside this only we have to specify the corner, means for what corner we want the roundedness. Let's say if I go with so top left, and let me use here say radius dot circular. Let's use the radius dot circular, and let me pass the value 20. Now you can observe here the rounded corners are now applied for only the top left corner, and all the remaining corners are not the rounded. So in this way, we can also pass the roundedness for the specific corner. For example, we can apply the top left, top right, and the bottom right as well. Now, instead of this only, we can specify the horizontal or vertical. Let's say if I go with vertical, it means we want the rounded corners from vertical direction. Here also we can specify, means we have to specify for what vertical type, means for the bottom or for top you want. Let's say if I want for bottom, so I can write here bottom, and let's again write here say radius dot circular. So let's use radius dot circular, and let me put the value 20. You can observe here for only bottom side of the card I'm getting the radius and not from the top side. So in this way we can also write say top here. For example, we can use top here, so it can give the corners from the top side. And instead of using this vertical, we can also write the horizontal, and in case of horizontal we have to specify a value in the form of left and right. Let me explain the properties called border on foreground and clip behavior. To understand those properties, I have a specific code here, and intentionally we have this kind of code. Okay, you will understand why I have selected this code here. So we have a card that contains a shape. Right now we have seen the shape property that contains the rounded rectangle border, and here I have taken the border radius of 100 pixel here. You'll understand why I have taken 100 pixel. Then we have the side option. So I have selected side because I want custom border with custom color and custom thickness. So we have green border with the thickness of 20 pixel. And card simply has a padding that contains the image and with the width of 300 pixel. This is how the output is looking here. Card has a property, and that property is called say border on foreground. By default its value is true, so let me use it true, and let me explain what does it means. So border on foreground allows us to control how the border has to be appeared on the child, whether the border has to appear over the child, means in front of the child, or behind the child. So as the default value is true, means your border will appear in front of the child. Let's say if we want this border to appear behind the child, so simply instead of using true, we have to use a value called false, and when I save it, you can observe now the border is gone behind the child. Card has a property called clip behavior that allows us to clip the child based on the border or not. For example, let's say if I use clip behavior, and we have to use property in the form of clip. So let's write here clip. Let's say if I use say clip dot hard edges, you can see by default it is not clipping or it is not cutting your child. So if I use say clip dot hard edge, you can see now the child has got clipped with respect to the border. That's it for this video. See you guys in the next video. If you really found this video helpful and knowledgeable, then don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button to get my latest videos.